Welcome to today's art challenge. In this art challenge, I teach you a basic art concept and then I challenge you to create your own artwork using your new knowledge. So today I'm going to teach you all about crosshatching. It's a beautiful, fun way to create quick, loose drawings. You're really going to enjoy it and it's super easy. Let me show you how it works. So let's start off by taking a look at what crosshatching is. And to do that, we'll roll it back to just plain well hatching. So hatching is when you draw parallel lines like this. Then you are hatching. So the idea is that to create different tonal values, you would hatch, in other words, draw your parallel lines closer and further apart. The further apart they are, the lighter it appears. And the closer together we draw those parallel lines, the darker the area appears. So that's pretty straightforward, right? So crosshatching is simply going in the opposite direction as well. Like that. So what I've done is I've created a little PDF which you can print out if you want to work along. So that PDF printout essentially gives you this. It's a sheet with a few templates on it. So what I've done is I've given you 5 blocks of tonal value across the top. And we're going to use crosshatching to replicate those tonal values in the 5 blocks below it. And that'll give us good practice getting our crosshatching correct. So the first thing you want to do is start off with a nice sharp pencil. And as you work, keep turning the pencil in your hand like this. After every few strokes, you give it a turn, whichever way is most comfortable for you. But just gradually turn it. What happens is it then keeps this little point of yours, the tip of the pencil, nice and sharp. Okay, so let's start off with that block over there. It's a really light tonal value, so we're going to add our crosshatching far apart. Like that. Okay, so I've done mine at 45 degrees. But you don't need to do yours at 45 degrees. You can do yours up and down, left to right. And sometimes you get to that point, as you'll see later, where you combine, you go diagonally and horizontally and vertically. Alright, so let's get that tonal value there. So now we need to use quite a bit more closer hatches. To indicate that tonal value. So I'm trying to get my lines as parallel as what I can, but obviously it doesn't always work like that. Just get them as good as you can. That's good enough. When hatching, I try not to go too super neat, because what's nice about cross-hatching is that it allows you to draw really quick. So if you're getting these lines too perfect, then it slows you back down again, and then you've defeated the object. Alright, so the next one, we need to go even closer to each other. Keep turning that pencil to get nice sharp lines. Okay, so can you see there's still too much paper shining through? It's darker than that one, but not quite enough yet. So this is when you can come back and add more hatching in different directions. The more hatching you add, the less white the paper shines through, and the darker that area appears. Okay, next one. So for your darkest tonal values, if you're using a pencil, you also have the ability to press harder. So I'm going to press a bit harder on my pencil this time, and that'll also physically give me darker hatches. Okay, let's do the other direction. If you're hatching with a pen though, then obviously you don't have that ability to press harder. So then what you're going to do is you're going to just keep hatching closer and closer and closer together. So what I'm doing now is I just keep comparing the tonal value. If I need more tonal value, then I'm going to continue adding hatches in different directions until I've got the correct tonal value. Right, so can you see I've got the tonal value, but there's still paper shining through. Then obviously the last one is as good as black. So I'm as good as going to color this in. And I'm pressing nice and hard as well. But now can you see, even though I'm coloring it in, I'm still using my hatch directions. Because you never fully cover the paper unless you go over it and over it and over and over it multiple times. So that way you still get a bit of a hatched look, even in those darkest areas like this. There you go. That's how you create a tonal chart or different tonal values using crosshatching. So in the next row, we're going to put it all together and we're going to create a shading using crosshatching. So you're going to start over here using that width parallel lines, and then you're going to go closer, 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 and closer together as you move across this block. Don't worry too much if you go a little over the lines. That's quite okay. Okay, so we've got to start there. Do the same in the other direction. As we move across, gradually get closer and closer and closer together, like that. Okay, the same thing, yeah, I'm going to do it the opposite way now because we need to fill in lots here and go less to there. So here I'm coloring in, and I'm gradually having more and more space in between these parallel lines until over there is nothing. Okay, we can go in the other direction as well. So this is an interesting one with this direction. Can you see we're going from dark to light? So what you generally do there is you go just a few long lines like that, to get the light tonal value and to get the next darker tonal value, now you'd stop, instead of there, you'd stop your line over here. And then the next darker value, you're going to stop your line, say, around over there. And then some more even shorter ones, until eventually there you end up like that. And there you've got a row of tonal value. A nice gradual shading using crosshatching. Next up, we've got this coffee cup over here. So now I'm going to introduce something different to you, and that's a thing called cross contour lines. In other words, this is not a flat surface like our previous hatchings were. Here, this surface has got contour to it. So in order to get good natural shapes, what you want to do is make your hatch lines follow the contour of the object. For example, your hatchings need to follow that angle over there on this face over here. So you would do hatches like this. And then here, you can do the same over there. So what I'll often do is your top and your bottom shapes aren't always the same. That's more elongated, and this is a rounder shape. So I'll usually put in a few little lines around here, a few lines over there, and then make them meet here around the center. That way they can gradually change and conform to each other. So those are cross contour lines. So what I do is put in a few and they guide me. Okay, so now we're going to do the same for those sides over there. So can you see that this side and that side's angle aren't the same? Here, these cross contour lines are going to start at that angle over there. Here in the center, they're going to end up going straight down. And over there, they're going to follow that side. So they gradually change from that angle to this angle to that angle. So I'll put in 1, 2, 3 lines like that. And from there it's easy to estimate a few more lines. Can you see how rough it is? These are just little planning lines, but that's good enough. They'll all disappear in your final drawing. Over there, let's follow that curve there, be like that, and over there it'll also come down pretty much the same as it does on the front. So these guys are going to curl slightly in like that, and he's going to go straight down. This guy here, he seems a little bit more complicated, but these lines are just doing this. Then when it gets to here, it's going to gradually change direction again. To conform to that. So it starts with that angle, ends with that angle. And it gradually just changes here, somewhere in between. Okay, so let's now hatch that guy. Can you see he's darker over here and he's lighter over there? In other words, the sun is coming from that direction, from right to left. So our darkest area is over here. So what I'm going to do is same as what we did over here with those hatch lines, that we started them off long and gradually added shorter and shorter ones. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to do some long lines, and that's going to just establish first just the main contours and the lightest value at the bottom. And as I go across, gradually can add less until over there there's basically nothing. Now I'm going to continue to add, but this time as I come down I'm going to make these lines shorter, so I'll maybe end over there for a while, and then as I go along just make them shorter and shorter, and that's going to give us the vertical shading lines on that mug. So things are quite dark over here at the top. And then they're shorter and lighter at the bottom. Okay, we'll do the same in that direction. Just a few short lines going all the way around, like that. So essentially you're doing the lightest value now. Just a few loose lines over there. We don't want too many, because this is all light over here. Very light. Okay, as we come across here, that shadow sort of stops over there, eh? So we're going to do just shorter lines that end over there. Now as I'm going down, I'm giving more and more gap in between these lines to get this darker and that lighter. So really close over here. So I'm making shorter and shorter hatches at this stage. And then gradually further apart as we move up. We can add some more at the top. Going down, but shorter lines. Even shorter than before. And look how that top area is now filling up. Like that. So we've actually got a shading from dark here. We can add even some odd little cross contour ones like that in a different direction, but not too many. Okay, let's do the inside of the mug. Just a few running all the way across to get our lighter tonal value over there. And now we're going to add, because it's dark here and it goes lighter, right? To get that shading, we're going to have some longer lines like that, and then some shorter and shorter ones. So eventually here we've got really short ones. Okay, let's do the same thing going down, close to each other. Then as we move across, gradually increase the width between your lines until you eventually end up with that. Okay, and you see it sort of goes darker over there, so I'm going to add a few lines going from the bottom up. And these lines are becoming shorter and shorter and shorter as we move to the left. And that's giving us that shading over there. Cool, so I'm just going to outline that just to determine that shape. Okay, let's do the handle. So for the handle, it's dark all the way along there, and that's light. So we'll start here with the darker bits. And I'm just going to flick these hatches out. Like that. Okay, let's add some in the opposite direction. So more of them over here, hey, just to get that nice dark edge. Oh, this here's quite dark, so we can darken all that up. This here's quite dark, we can darken all that up. And then as we come to the top, it gets lighter. So here we're just going to add just a few very light lines. Just to indicate that it's not white. And that's it. Here's a bit of a shadow. So that shadow runs down sort of this direction from there to around there. So it's darker here, lighter there. So I'm going to have close hatches, and as I move down, hatches are further apart. Okay, there's that shadow, and of course the whole mug casts a shadow on the ground, which is something somewhere in that vicinity, eh? Alright, so it is on the ground, so I'm going to start with horizontal hatches. It's dark here against the cup, and it goes lighter as we move further out. So we'll start with just short lines, and then a few long ones. Moving further apart as we go out to there. Okay, it's got another direction. Close to get it dark. And as we move out, gradually further and further apart. Like that. Okay, so I'm going to add a few more hatches over here to get this. We want to get that nice and dark, eh? So that our mug stands out. So it's a really nice dark tonal value over there. There we go, that should do the trick. One cross-hatched mug. Let's zoom out and see what have we got. So there we go. Nice quick exercise. It was a lot of fun. And look there, we've got some shadings that we've done. We've learned how to crosshatch, and we've drawn ourselves a beautiful mug. So just to show you what you can do with crosshatching, you can draw entire drawings like this. And just look how beautifully effective it is when you draw entire drawings with crosshatching. And as you saw with the mug, it goes really, really quick. So if you do want to learn how to draw this fish, you can follow along. It is a tutorial on my website. The link to it is in the description below. Alrighty, now you know how to do crosshatching. As you can see, it's really easy. So here's your challenge. Pick a nice photo that's got good contrasts to it, not too much fine detail, and do that in crosshatching. Then post it to the link below so that I can see what it looks like. Good luck. I'll see you next time.